back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I have some exciting plans. Today is my husband's day off, and we decided we are going to go to McKay's in Tennessee, which is a couple of hours away from us, so we don't go all that often, so it's really a treat when we get to go. But we thought that that would be super fun. I have some books to turn in, so I'm hoping that I get some store credit while I'm there as well, but I'm really excited to go browse. And I have a little bit of a list of books that I would like to find, either because I'm buddy reading them in the near future, or they're part of a series, or they're books that my library doesn't have that I really want. So we'll see if I end up with any of the books that I'm looking for or not, but I've literally never come away from McKay's empty-handed, so I'm sure I'll find something. I'm back, and I did return with quite a few books, which you might be able to see in the background here. I didn't find any book that was on my list of books that I was hoping to find, but that's okay. I still came home with quite a few books anyway. I will have timestamps in the description below in case there's a specific genre that you want to see what books that I got. But I think the genres that I got some middle grade, some nonfiction, some classics, and some historical fiction. Plus like some that's kind of classic mystery slash classic historical fiction. So we've kind of got some crossover a little bit. I guess it depends on who you ask, because classic's such a relative term sometimes. Anyways, so let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so let's start with nonfiction. I may have made a mistake for this one because I have volumes 2 and 3 of the Gulag Archipelago, and then I found this one here. This is the same edition as my other two, but it just says the Gulag Archipelago, does not have a volume on it, so I'm thinking that this is like all 3 volumes condensed into 1 volume, which is still fine because I paid less than $1 for this, so it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, it's still pretty long. If I were to read this as the condensed version, it's still over 600 pages. So yeah, I may read this one instead of volume 1 if I can't find that anytime soon. Also, my neighbor is mowing their lawn, so can hear it pretty loudly in here, even with the windows closed. So we're just gonna ignore it. Maybe you can't hear it. We can hope. Anyways, the other nonfiction that I got is this book on Frances Hodgson Burnett, which I know absolutely nothing about her life at all. So I was excited to find this. This was only 25 cents. It's a hardcover. A lot of their biography books, unless they're recent books, they're just not that expensive. I guess maybe they're just not that popular. Like, I got the collection of Flannery O'Connor's letters semi-recently there. Well, semi-recently, within a year. And that was only 25 cents. So I'm really excited that I found this because I love Frances Hodgson Burnett and I would love to know more about her. Also, I just realized, like, there's this weird illustration on the back that feels like a very not flattering illustration. All right, let's continue with middle grade. So most of these middle grade books are ones that my daughter picked out and bought herself. She had like a certain amount of money that she could spend. So the first thing that she got was Guts by Raina Telgemeier, not really sure. It's a graphic novel and she's read every book in this series. There's like Smiles, Sisters, and then she also wrote one about like drama, and so there's a bunch of different ones, but she has read all of these and really likes them. So this was one of the ones she purchased. And then she is also a huge fan of Andrew Clements, so she got The School Story and also A Week in the Woods. And so whenever she can find new Andrew Clements books that she hasn't read, he tends to be like a favorite author of hers, so she has gotten quite a few of them over the past couple of years. Ever since we read Frindle for school, she has been a huge fan of his. Then we also found a Roald Dahl book that we don't have, and it's so tiny. It is so short. I don't even know how many pages it is. 62 pages, but obviously lots of illustrations and stuff. And it's SEO Trot, which is about this old man here who's in love with this woman, but she has no eyes for him because she's obsessed with her pet tortoise named SEO Trot. And Claire's already read this, and she told me that the reason his name is SEO Trot is because that's tortoise backwards. And I'm like, what a Roald Dahl thing to do. Anyways, this was one of the few that we didn't own, so we picked this up. And then lastly, I didn't purchase this. I got this one for free because there are bins outside of McKay's with the books that they can't sell or won't sell or whatever, but that people still don't want to bring back with them. So this one that was in the front is Locomotion by Jacqueline Woodson. I have read Brown Girl Dreaming and absolutely loved it, and haven't read anything else of hers. I've heard a couple people talk about this and say it's not the best, but it was free, so I really don't care. I would not have paid money for this, but the fact that it was free, I picked it up, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is written in poetry form as well, so got this one, and that's it for the middle grade. I then have some historical fiction. I was really excited to find The Bone Setter's Daughter by Amy Tan. I'm a really big Amy Tan fan. I say that having only read 2 of her books, but I read The Joy Luck Club and The Kitchen God's Wife and just adored them both. I'm not really sure what The Bone Setter's Daughter is about, to be honest, and it has no description at all. It just has blurbs from random people and things, which is really unfortunate. There's nothing in the beginning either, but I love this picture. And then I think this qualifies as historical fiction. I was thinking that he was a classic author and some of his books are kind of older. This one, it was published in the 90s though, so it's not really that old, so I don't know if it's old enough to count as a classic. But I found The Island of the Day Before by Umberto Eco, or Eco. I never know how to say it because I've heard people say it Eco or Echo, so whatever. And it's hilarious to me because I keep finding these books of his, and I had found Foucault's Pendulum at a library book sale for like 25 cents, so I picked that up. And then Christy and Victoria read The Name of the Rose last year, and I thought it sounded really good, so I picked that one up. And then since then I found several other of his books, and I keep picking them up, and yet I have not read a single one yet. So I don't even know if I like his writing style. I don't even know if I'm gonna like these books, and I'm like, I should probably stop buying them, and yet I keep buying them. This one was only a couple of dollars, and it's in really great condition. It's got deckled edges, it's got like the French flaps, and very floppy, like everything that I love in a paperback. So I'm not mad about it. I hope that I do enjoy it. I'm not totally sure what this one is about. I didn't even look, to be honest. So it sounds like it's some sort of like nautical tale, someone who is on board a mysterious ship anchored in the bay of a beautiful island he cannot reach. This is the story of how he got there and what he finds on board, and they're just a part of this exquisitely crafted novel that celebrates the romance, war, politics, philosophy, and science of the Baroque period in all its lush and colorful detail. So I love the cover. So we'll see. I still don't know whether or not I like his writing or not. I'm going to read him for the first time in September. So we'll see whether or not these are books that I love and can't wait to read the next one, or if I'm like, I'm getting rid of all of them. I'm sure it will come as no surprise to you that the biggest stack of books that I have are classics. So we're gonna start out with Parnassus on Wheels by Christopher Morley. I was pumped to find this because just recently Mark from Book Time with Elvis was talking about this book, and it sounds wonderful. I think it was one of his favorite books of the year last year. And I found it, and I was so excited to find it for only a couple of dollars. So this is one I'm really looking forward to reading. It sounds like a book for book lovers because I think it's about this woman who ends up traveling with or obtaining this traveling cart that sells and or repairs books. So it sounds lovely. I could potentially have put this in the middle grade stack, I think. I got Puck of Pook's Hill by Rudyard Kipling. This is about a couple of children who decide they're going to play act A Midsummer Night's Dream, and then Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream like comes to life with them. And it sounds really funny. I saw the title and I was cracking up at the title. and showed it to Claire, and then I read the back and I was like, oh, and she's like, is it Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream? Because I didn't even pick up on that. But Claire really loved Shakespeare, and A Midsummer Night's Dream was her favorite for the longest time. And then it was Twelfth Night for a little bit, and now it's been Macbeth for a couple of years. So it started really funny and it's taken a dark turn, but that's okay. Anyway, so this just sounded like a really fun one, but it might qualify more for middle grade, but it's also still technically a classic. Then I got a super beat up copy. Like, I don't know if you can like see how wrinkled the cover is. Like, normally I would not have bought this because it's in such rough condition, and honestly normally they don't sell books that are in this rough of condition at McKay's, but it was only 25 cents and I'm like, I will buy that for 25 cents. So as you can see, it's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. I did read this a few years ago and I really enjoyed it. It had some areas where it really like lagged and felt long-winded, but I also really loved it and thought it was a ton of fun. And it's one of the few of Mark Twain's major works, if not the only major work, that I don't own of his. So yay. I also got actually quite a bit of Edith Wharton, and I haven't read her yet either. I have House of Mirth, and I've heard Shelley Swearingen talk a ton about how much she loves Edith Wharton. And so I was really excited to find these for such a good deal. So I got The Age of Innocence. This may be a Patreon pick in the future. I have like a couple of Patreon tiers that they can suggest group reads, and this is one of the ones that was suggested, and I thought that I had this one, but I don't. It was House of Mirth that I had, so I got that one. And I love these modern library classics because they kind of have these bronze gold spines, so I got that one. And then I found another one in the modern classic library that's Ethan Frome and Summer in one, which I find it hysterical that this book has summer in it. But look at the cover. There's a horse going through like super deep snow, which maybe Ethan Frome is set in winter, but I think it's hilarious that these are the two books they paired together and they chose a wintry cover. Just kind of funny. So then I accidentally bought this, which also has Ethan Frome in it, and I was kind of upset about it because I didn't notice it till we were in the checkout and he'd already checked it out, and I was like, oh dang it, I thought I put that one back. But this was only 25 cents, which is not a big deal, especially when I look in here and it says other short fiction, and it has The Touchstone, The Last Asset, Zingu, and the other two, and I don't have any of those. So the only thing that's in here that I have a duplicate of is Ethan Frome, but I don't have the other ones. So I'm hoping I really like Edith Wharton. I guess I'm taking a chance as I continue to get her books, and yet haven't read any of them, much like Umberto Eco. The next few books here are all very heavily influenced by Kate Howe. And I realized that once I got home. I was talking to my friend Joanna after we got home, and she was like, what kind of books did you get? And I was like, oh, and I was like, I got a whole bunch that Kate influenced me to get that I've heard her talking about. So I got Lorna Doone by R.D. Blackmore. I don't really know anything about this at all. I know it's kind of like a romantic tale, but I don't know. It says it's a romantic tale of love, honor, bravery, and treachery set in the valleys of Exmoor during the time of James II and the Monmouth Rebellion. So yeah, I've heard from some people that this starts really slow but gets a lot better. So I'm going into it with that mindset whenever I end up reading it. And then I was really excited to find Man and Wife by Wilkie Collins. Pretty sure Kate read this during Victober last year, and I think it was like one of her like new favorites of Wilkie Collins, if I'm remembering that correctly. The odd thing about this book, I didn't realize till I got home and I was flipping through, it's like set up like a Bible. It's got like 2 columns on every page, which is super weird because I was thinking to myself, I thought this book was way bigger than this, and it is, and that's why it's not, is because it's tall but also has like these double columns, which is a really interesting choice. I don't really know why they did that, but this sounds like such a great book, like a really good Victorian sensation novel. So I'm excited to read this one. And then I also got Miss Marjoribanks by Margaret Oliphant, and this is a chunker. I don't know anything about this at all. I just remember Kate talking about it somewhere. I don't know if it was like some sort of video with more obscure like Victorian classics or what video it was. But I've heard her mention it, I think, a couple of times, and I think she really enjoyed this one. So thank you, Kate, for heavily influencing this haul because I found a whole bunch of books that you talked about before. And then last, I have a couple of more modern classics, both by Daphne du Maurier, neither of which I have read. The first one I have heard of, and that's The King's General. If I am remembering correctly, this is more of a historical fiction than it is like kind of mystery, thriller, whatever you want to classify her other books like Rebecca, My Cousin Rachel, Jamaica Inn. It's not like that. It's more on the historical side than being fast-paced and all that kind of stuff, if I'm remembering correctly, because I feel like I know someone who read this, but I don't remember who. So if it was you, or you have read it, you can let me know in the comments below. But this one, I'm so intrigued by this one. This is The Flight of the Falcon. I have never heard of this one, but the back of it sounds so good. It says, this is a story in which the line between good and evil is blurred and suspicions run rampant. An ever-charming Italian courier, Armino Fabio, finds his life wildly shaken up when a mysterious murder compels him to return to his birthplace to investigate the victim's identity. Haunted by its violent past and a sinister former duke known as the Falcon, his home is embroiled in scandal and unrest as justice is sought in deadly ways. At the center of the controversy is someone Armino never could have fathomed, pulling him into the heart of the conflict and revealing dark family secrets and the true selves of those closest to him. So that one sounds like so good, and I've never heard of it at all. I've never heard anyone talk about this one, so I don't know if it's gonna be as good as it sounds or not. I guess we'll see. So there's my little book haul from McKay's. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below if there's any of these that you have previously read and enjoyed, or you think that I should prioritize. I would love to hear from you which ones you think either sound the most interesting or that you've read and would recommend. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.